Hello. This video is a follow-up of my previous video on why two-way traffic conversion in Perth City is crap. If you haven't seen it yet, please do check it out. Today we're going to see what traffic on Barrack Street looks like since being fully converted to two-way in late 2015. I'm going to walk north along Barrack Street starting from Riverside Drive alongside a blue cat bus, which after exiting Barrack Square doesn't stop until the middle of Beaufort Street Bridge. So here I am on Barrack Street at the intersection with Riverside Drive. I'll be following this blue cat as it travels north up Barrack Street. Right now it's 2:23, well before peak hour on a Tuesday afternoon, the 20th of December 2016. The blue cat most probably won't run a red light, so to make it a fair comparison, I'm not going to jaywalk. All crossings I make will be at legal crossing points, I won't start to cross once the pedestrian light flashes red, etc. Already the blue cat is stuck at a red light at the intersection with the Esplanade. Ever since Riverside Drive was split into two pieces by Elizabeth Quay in 2014, all of the traffic has been diverted through the Esplanade. With increased east-west traffic volume, this can only mean longer red lights and or shorter green lights for southbound traffic on William Street and northbound traffic on Barrack Street. In fact, right now it seems quite likely that I'll overtake the blue cat before the light changes to green. Here's why. First, that green left arrow facing us, which is synchronized with the right arrow facing the side road, needs to switch to red. Then the right turners opposing the blue cat get a green arrow, and only after that switches red does the blue cat get a green light. While I'm this close to the blue cat, I'll take note of its registration number. 2635. Well, I've caught up, that left arrow hasn't turned red, and traffic is starting to bank up. The blue cat doesn't look like it'll be going far anytime soon. The side road on the left that I'm passing right now is the Esplanade, and the section of Barrack Street ahead of this used to be one-way north. What you're seeing here used to be 4 lanes northbound, but in order to fit the cycling lanes and the southbound traffic lanes introduced since the conversion to two-way, northbound traffic has been reduced to 1 lane with the right turn pocket at the next set of lights. This means that the left lane is shared by traffic going straight ahead and traffic turning left. As discussed in my previous video, it takes just one left turner giving way to pedestrians to halt all of the traffic in the left lane, including traffic going straight ahead. Although the light is green, the traffic going straight ahead is effectively giving way to the pedestrians, even though their paths don't actually clash with each other. This reduces the number of vehicles which can be cleared from an intersection in one traffic cycle, resulting in higher levels of commuter frustration and a greater likelihood of congestion. I'm now approaching the intersection with St George's Terrace, and there are still at least 10 cars between the blue cat and this set of lights. Yet we see opposite us only 2 cars going south, which is very inefficient considering that the southbound leg takes up half the street. Right, the lights on St George's Terrace have just turned, so not long before I can cross. Before conversion, this next section of Barrack Street consisted of 1 bus lane and 2 traffic lanes, all northbound. The net effect of two-way conversion has been the reversal of 1 traffic lane, the replacement of the bus lane with cycling lanes, and the removal of all buses from Barrack Street except the blue cat and the red cat. While the total number of lanes accessible to cars is unchanged, 1 lane in each direction flows much worse than 2 lanes in one direction. Single-lane traffic speed is limited by the slowest driver because vehicles are unable to overtake. In the case of a breakdown or any obstruction taking up 1 lane, either one direction needs to be closed off or an officer needs to be present to direct traffic. Also, when one direction of traffic is underutilized, queues at traffic lights in the prevailing direction will on average be longer, again reducing the number of vehicles cleared per traffic cycle. Now I've missed the pedestrian phase at this set of lights, the intersection with Hay Street. Given that I need to wait to cross in either direction, I'm going to cross to the opposite footpath on Barrack Street, so that I'll be on the pedestrian mall side. That way I can avoid waiting at the next intersection, Murray Street. That release of gas you just heard was made by our blue cat. Now, underutilisation of the southbound lane and increased queue length aren't the only issues here. The main problem is the intersection with Wellington Street. Back in 2007, this is what the layout looked like. While the Beaufort Street Bridge wasn't physically one way, there was only a single left-turning lane on the southbound leg, and its traffic light was synchronised with the right turn from Wellington Street, so the only traffic phases were northbound, westbound with right arrow, and east-westbound. The single southbound lane didn't cause any extra waiting time for the northbound traffic because its green phase was grouped into the westbound phase. In terms of traffic signalling, the bridge behaved as if it was one way. But after the conversion, the northbound right lane was reversed, and so an extra phase needed to be added to the cycle to allow for southbound traffic on the bridge to go straight ahead and turn right, meaning extra waiting time for everyone. And speaking of waiting time, this right turner can't be bothered waiting for the queue to clear, so he's crossed the solid line onto the empty oncoming lane. An illegal method to avoid waiting one extra traffic cycle. Right now the side road I'm passing is Murray Street, and after this will be Wellington Street, which I was talking about a moment ago. Because the traffic cycle on Wellington Street is so long, it doesn't matter how well the rest of Barrack Street flows, the flow will be limited by the clearing rate at Wellington Street. Traffic lights on two-way streets, which have fixed green right arrows, are also harder to coordinate for smooth flow with neighbouring intersections. Only now are we seeing cars coming to fill this sizable stretch of road, which was left empty for a good 15 seconds due to a green light on Wellington Street at the same time as a red light on Murray Street, which we just passed. For someone waiting to enter a street where traffic is banked up to the intersection, having to wait 15 seconds for more space might mean that the light goes red, in which case they must wait a whole extra traffic cycle. On the other hand, it's much easier to set up what's called a green wave on a one-way street. This is where a chunk of the traffic is able to move through green lights over multiple intersections, as shown in this animation from Wikipedia. But if you're driving through Barrack Street, that's something you're not likely to encounter. Well, this brings us to Wellington Street, which, according to the City of Perth street sign and main roads, marks the end of Barrack Street. I'll swing the camera around to take a look at where our blue cat is. Yep, there it is, still a good 6 or 7 cars behind me. So if you're travelling north up the full length of two-way Barrack Street, driving isn't necessarily going to be quicker than walking. I didn't even need to jaywalk to do this. If I did, I'd arrive even earlier. Finally, let's cross over to Beaufort Street Bridge. Remember, it's about 2:30 in the afternoon, which is definitely not peak hour, but opposite me you can see a traffic queue covering most of the bridge. Since the conversion to two-way, all of the buses from the north move through that single lane, and every day it is congested. Well, here's the cat stop, and here's our blue cat number 2635, which has just spent more than 8 minutes travelling from Barrack Square to Beaufort Street Bridge, a distance of less than 1 kilometre. If you ever need to drive from the city, all I can say is avoid Barrack Street northbound.